Welcome to First Draft Problems. In this video, I'm going to talk about the most common mistakes when creating characters in a screenplay. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Independent Film School. I'm Thier. Common mistakes in screenplays when it comes to creating characters. I'll let the countdown begin. Mistake number 1. The character is not focused on one key issue, one key theme. The character has a lot of different issues, and when a character is about everything, they're about nothing. So in real life people have a lot of issues. I mean, I don't, but some of my best friends do. Characters, on the other hand, each character is a metaphor for one single issue, human experience. And so your metaphor, aka your character, is going to be addressing one issue. All right, mistake number 2. I love mistake number 2 because this is one that I make all the time, and I just give myself permission to make this mistake to my heart's desire. And this is why it's called first draft problems. Anticipate making this mistake in your early drafts and know that you'll come back when you revise, which is the bulk of the work, that's what these videos are about, to correct this one. So this mistake is where you're identifying with one character, usually the main character, although that's not always the character the writer identifies with most easily. You identify with one character, you're in their shoes, they're doing their thing, but the other characters are like cardboard cutouts, placeholders. So when I find that happening when I'm writing, I don't care. I just keep writing just to get words on the page, get some pages happening, feel things out, learn the world. And I just let myself do it, knowing that I'm identifying with this one character and that the other ones are like boring cardboards. Then when I revise, I go back and I get really clear about each of the other characters' point of view and what's going on for them and what they want. And I rewrite the script, now having a much more fleshed out picture of the other characters. So go ahead, enjoy getting into identifying with one character, let the other ones be cardboards. Don't worry about it. Know that that's what comes with first drafts, and you'll come back and flesh them out. Mistake number 3 is there being way too many characters. Way too many characters. And honestly, the fewer the characters, not only producerially, it's easier to make the movie, it's also going to be a stronger story. So one of the first things you do in the revision process is make a list of all your characters and then figure out which ones are not moving the story forward. The story stands just as well without them. They're not thematically pertinent to the story, and then eliminate them. Just get rid of those characters. Alternatively, what often I end up doing is conflating characters. So I'm like, all right, well, these 3 characters really have a similar function. I'm going to turn those 3 into one. So eliminating characters, conflating several characters into one will almost always make your script tighter, stronger, more powerful. Mistake number 4, the characters are not distinct from each other. They're kind of similar. I spoke about that in a video on writing dialogue, so check that one out. But make sure that each character has like their signature thing. This one is the character who always wears a bright orange hat. And this character always has different color fingernails. I don't know, it's probably too subtle. But your main character, you can spend a lot of time with them and really get to know them over time. But with the supporting characters, they really need to have like a distinct signature, usually a visual or something. They're always, this is the compulsive slob, or this is the one who always laughs at their own jokes, even though their jokes aren't funny. Figure out the signature thing and make your characters distinct. Mistake number 5, the introduction to characters are not thought about. So either you throw in the main character into one ghastly paragraph with all these other characters and we don't know which one to pay attention to, etc. Or You give way too much importance to introductions to minor characters who we're not going to be focused on. So cue us in how you introduce characters as to which is the character or two or maximum three characters that we're really going to focus in and follow, and think about how to introduce them. What can they say or what can they do that, boom, we totally get what their issue is, what the theme is, what this character is about. Remember earlier in the video, I said your character is a metaphor and it addresses one key issue. So really think about, how do I introduce this character where we're like, boom, I get what this person is about, what's going on for them. I get how they need to change or how they might not change. Now remember, these are first draft problems. So I don't think about any of these things when I'm first just like writing the screenplay. This is about the revision process. You have this script. A lot of it is beautiful. A lot of it is boring. And now you use these revision tweak tools to make the script better. Mistake number 6, this one is so small and easy to fix, but it's a real, what do I want to say? It is a real pet peeve of mine. It's a real pet peeve. Okay. Character names. Character names. Yes, you can totally get poetic and like do research and figure out what this name means and what culture and language and get all into it. Let me tell you right now, when people walk out of a movie or even a show that they've watched for a long time, they don't remember anybody's name. They're like, yeah, the guy Brad, I like it when like Brad Pitt did that, and then, whatever, Margot Robin, when she did that. People remember actors. Nobody remembers your characters' names and nobody cares about them except one person, the reader. The person who actually reads the script, they do need the characters' names to be able to follow your story. So what you're going to do in order to ingratiate your readers is to make sure that your names are very different from each other. So Tracy and Stacy cannot exist in the same screenplay. You will make your readers crazy. But Belinda and Sam, I love that. It's very easy to follow that visually on a page. So make your characters have very different names in terms of number of syllables, the kinds of syllables, even Susan and Sammy, I wouldn't put them in the same screenplay. It starts with an S, roughly same number of letters, too confusing. Susan can hang out with Jack. Okay? Little tip here, when it comes to minor characters, it's very useful to give them very weird names. It just makes it easier to read the script. I've had characters named Crash, Helicopter. I had a character named Shakespeare, and then every time we see Shakespeare, we're like, oh, that's her. We know that's. So with minor characters, I like to give really weird names so that it's really easy to follow the script. If you give your minor character the name Bob and we see them on page 2 and then we see them again on page 45, we're not going to remember Bob. Who's Bob? I believe I'm on mistake number 7, which is that your character has some issue and they don't change. And then they're just kind of one-noted. And then all of a sudden at the end of a story, the end of a whatever, boom, all of a sudden they change. And we're like, where did that come from? So you want to make sure that the changes in the character, we get to see like a 3-step forward, 2-step back process. We see them kind of flirt with change. We see them get a little courageous and try something, then get totally discouraged and revert right back to how they were. We need to see that process so that a satisfying ending feels earned. Save the last for best. Save the best for last. Wow. Am I getting tired? Okay. Mistake number 8 is where you as a writer are not genuinely identifying with your character. That's the biggest one. If you only remember one thing, make it this one. Your job as a writer is to share with us about yourself, genuinely. I don't care what the plot is. If it's a memoir piece or if it's about pigs in space, the most interesting thing you have to offer is who you really are. Because guess what? The pigs in space, if you write them well, they're going to have the same issues you have. The same fears, hopes, whatever it is that you experience, pigs in space are going to experience, because the pigs in space are really about you. So no matter what you're writing, even if you're writing a spec script for an existing show, your job as a writer is to identify with the characters you're writing. So figure out, if the character is nothing like you, figure out what element in there is just like you. I was writing once about a coke addicted personal injury attorney. I've never been any of those things. But I identified with him feeling really passionately about a case that was impossible to tackle. And I was like, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to feel so passionately about something that is seemingly impossible. Everyone tells you it's impossible. For God's sakes, I'm a filmmaker. I know all about trying to do the impossible. So that's what I identified with, and that's really what I wrote about when I wrote that character. If you identify with your character, put yourself in their shoes for real, feel what they're feeling, your character is going to come to life. Your reader, your audience are going to come to life and thank you. All right. You've subscribed to my channel. You love these videos. It's time for that 90-minute masterclass where I help you eliminate writing blocks and arrive at your best screenplays. Join me at theindependentfilmschool.com. Link is below, and I'll invite you to my training. It is absolutely free. I'll see you there.